Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Tuesday. It's March 11th, 2025. Today is day 522. I'm now back in Washington, D.C. The Pilgrimage to Peace tour has ended. And what a trip we had. It was a blessing to be with many of you in the Southeast, and we're so incredibly grateful. So here's an update of the news over the last 24 hours in terms of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Hamas has offered to hand over the governance of Gaza in exchange of a 5 to 10-year truce in its war with Israel. Trump's hostage envoy, Adam Buller, said that on Sunday. Any further delay in Israel's reversal of its block on the supply of aid and electricity to Gaza will further reverse any progress that was managed during the 6 weeks or so of the ceasefire, said the UN humanitarian coordinator for the occupied Palestinian territories. That was said yesterday by Muhammad Hadi. Separately, the head of the UN Aid Agency for Palestinians, UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, he accused Israel of weaponizing humanitarian aid. That was reported by BBC and the Washington Post and other international outlets. Meanwhile, Hamas has said that negotiations over the fate of Gaza and the ceasefire have resumed in Qatar's capital in Doha. Yemen's Houthis have said that they will resume targeting ships in the Red Sea linked to Israel after they issued an ultimatum last week demanding that Israel resume aid into Gaza. Israeli attacks killed 6 people in central and South Gaza, while 4 people, including an elderly woman, was killed in the occupied West Bank. Qatar and Jordan said that Israel's aiming to impose starvation on Gaza by tightening its siege and cutting the only remaining power line to the territory used to operate a desalination plant. Gaza's health ministry confirmed the death of 48,503 Palestinians killed and more than 111,000 wounded in the war in Gaza. And Gaza's government media office updated the death toll to more than 61,000, saying that so many bodies have been located or missing underneath the rubble, many of them found over the past several weeks during the ceasefire as it's been implemented. Of course, roughly 1,200 people were killed on October 7th in 2023. 250 were taken captive. In terms of Syria, Syria's Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces have agreed to integrate into the state institutions of the new Syrian government. President Ahmad al-Shara, who's interim, announced that yesterday, saying that the landmark deal would also recognize Syria's Kurdish community as an integral part of the state. The fact that the Kurdish-led militia in northeast Syria controls the area, agreed to merge with the country's new government, should help contribute to stability in that part of the country. Armed men attacked a position held by Syrian's government security forces in Damascus yesterday, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, with the overnight skirmishes raising concerns that the unrest sweeping the coastal regions of Syria could spread. It's unclear if anyone was injured, according to war monitors in the area. The Israeli army today struck military headquarters and sites housing weapons and equipment in South Syria overnight, but there were no reports of casualties. Christians in Syria continue to experience fear and uncertainty in the aftermath of the recent death of more than 1,000 people as a result of the clashes between the government forces and the Alawites, many of whom supported the former Assad regime. CMEP today shared a statement by the Syrian patriarchs saying that we stand in solidarity with them, standing against the horrific escalation of violence that has swept across the country in recent days, condemning all acts of violence, calling for an immediate end to the bloodshed. We join the patriarchs in urging all parties to seek peaceful resolutions that uphold the human dignity and preserve national unity. The path to peace in Syria must be built on reconciliation, justice, and the protection of all communities. Iran has said that they're open to talks about their nuclear program with the United States if they are restricted to military concerns. Iran's mission to the United Nations said that in a social media post over the weekend. And I wanted to provide an update in terms of the activist Mahmoud Khalil and his arrest. One of the things that's been interesting is that it has significantly divided the Jewish community in the United States. Some Jewish Americans are trying to reconcile their support for the state of Israel with their long commitments to civil liberties. A few hours after the news broke on Sunday about the arrest of Mr. Khalil, who has not been accused of having had contact with Hamas, the Anti-Defamation League, which is significantly committed to fighting anti-Semitism, they released a statement applauding the swift and severe consequences for those who provide material support to foreign terrorist organizations. But the raid chilled other American Jews, among them ones who consider themselves supporters of the state of Israel and ones who are troubled primarily by Israel's military response, which has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians, including women and children. They see the security as inextricably bound up with that of other minority groups. The activist Mahmoud Khalil has a green card. He's married to a U.S. citizen who's 8 months pregnant. After his arrest, officials moved him to an ICE detention center in Louisiana, but a federal judge ordered his deportation be postponed until Wednesday, when a hearing will be held. The Trump administration is relying on an obscure law in its effort to deport the pro-Palestinian activist. And as I mentioned yesterday, Trump cheered at his arrest, writing on social media, "This will be the first arrest of many to come." A federal judge yesterday temporarily blocked the attempt to deport him and again set the hearing for tomorrow. Pope Francis continues his treatment amid ongoing improvement. And it's said that he is doing quite well, and his prognosis is no longer guarded, even if he does require more time in the hospital. So that is good news as we continue our prayers for His Holiness at the Vatican. And we're also grateful for Churches for Middle East Peace's first member communion. That is women religious of the Catholic Order, Sisters of Mercy. This week is the Catholic Sisters Week for 2025, which celebrates religious sisters around the world. So that's an update from the last 24 hours on this day, that is day 522. God's peace be with you, and may God go before us.